It's so nice to be able to dance to your own montage coming up. It's so nice, like our soundtrack. Anyway, gear up, ladies and gentlemen, for some great TV right now. It's the last day of the first month of the year, and it happens to be Friday. So, bye, January. Goodbye forever. Yes. And hello to the Lovers Month. Blessings.
Oh, no,
Blessings,
no.
Musugo.
Yes.
Better go and get a boo before Valentine, because I will not let you hear the last of it on this table. By the way, it's a Friday too, because I checked. Valentine is coming. Where is your boyfriend? You are sitting at home, so lonely. Valentine is coming.
We're representing your mom on this.
Why don't they come for you though?
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
Oh, no, we are, please. Do not ever in your life.
No, you haven't.
Mistake yourself.
Not to the level we've graduated to.
I and Catherine on this table.
I don't been there.
You ain't been nowhere. In the past
if you're not been there, we'll carry you there.
I just carry their dried flower and go and sit down.
There will be no escape for you. I am watching you. I just need you to know. Now that I've gotten that out of my chest.
Celebrating love.
Wow. Love.
Your own love.
No, love is all right, but the love of a young person is different. It's matured love that we're celebrating,
no, but
not
seriously,
heady, giddy love.
Did you hear what she said? She said, let them go with their dry flowers. What would you really like for Valentine's?
What would you like if you could? Like a perfect gentleman is courting you. He's perfect in every way.
Blasé. I've never seen. What's the first thing? Someone asked you, what would you want?
If you ask me what I want, you won't get me anything.
God. Hey, God.
Because, no, it's not because
so hard?
No, I'm not hard, but
What
like
are you?
asking me what I want.
Who do you think
I would
you
tell
are?
you nothing.
Who do you think
Honestly,
you are?
I would prefer you just buy me whatever and give it to
And
me.
you don't like it in what time?
And then you call
This
the
choosy
flowers
bitch.
dry.
If I don't like it, it means
Then
that
you call the flowers
you're not
dry.
Why would you give me flowers?
Right.
There's no Nigerian girl that likes flowers.
I am one.
I love flowers.
I love flowers.
Flowers are part of a
Oh,
gift. They're
God.
not the only gift.
Exactly.
Because they're very
How do we know
expensive.
what to get you? If someone wants to get into a page in the life of what does blessings really?
One.
What
If
would
you look
really
at me
touch?
very well, you know the things
She
I
wants
want.
money.
like
This girl
what?
just wants money and peace. If they can be bringing the money, if they can be bringing the
Suppose
money
they
to
don't
her
get you
living
head
room.
that you don't really
Exactly.
like. You will not say,
You are not attentive then.
Please, blessings is confusing me.
Are we supposed to carry like
I don't
a
understand.
crystal
So
ball?
why did you? It's not me.
You are prideful.
You
Thank God my
brought me
sons
to
are
this
very young
conversation.
and they can never like you. They're still in school.
how did we get there?
It's okay. It's all, Lola, it's all right.
Take daughter.
I apologize on
Anyway, this means that today's Friday, you know what it is. It is how we roll every Friday. It's Hot Topics Friday.
Lola just cut us off very.
So happy. Why is she so happy?
Let me continue.
Have you seen my
Let me
jewelry?
continue. We have a lot to get through today, and I know a lot of people are continuing the polygamy debates in our comments section.
Oh my God.
If you missed Thursday's conversation about a Cameroonian lawyer saying that polygamy should be made compulsory in Cameroon, where it is already legal, and then also across Africa, you missed. Please head to our YouTube channel to catch up. Now, before we really kick off Hot Topics, I saw this post online. I've been holding it and holding it. I think I've been holding it since Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been in the script. I've been holding it, but
Chubby baby something.
overtaking. This post comes from Chubby Oddly, and she makes a very interesting point, and we'd like to see what she had to say.
Do you know she looks like
Automatically
Oluchi?
become unreasonable. You are allowed to not find the joke funny. Your feelings don't automatically become unreasonable simply because someone said the words, "I was just joking." A lot of times when people use those words, they are trying to avoid having a real and honest conversation about boundaries. They may also be trying to avoid apologizing and taking accountability for their actions. When someone truly values you, and their words or their actions have hurt your feelings, the joke stops being funny to them too.
All right, so apparently we're talking to our ancestors before the break. But welcome back. You're watching Jasiri. It's a Freestyle Friday and a Hot Topics Friday as well. The ladies and I are ready to dig in. Today we have our cutlery. It's just that you can't see the plates. but we have a cutlery, fork, and knife and spoon, and we have a lot to dish in today. So, without much ado, let's get started on today's Hot Topic special. Roll the montage.
Roll it.
Guys, before you say I'm always laughing, please, it's not my fault. Honestly, so you can't blame me. Lolo.
Why are you laughing, Catherine?
So why did you go after this poor girl like that during the break?
Who went after who? This is TV, it's
The funny
live.
thing is, we're all the same thing. Ladies are all the same thing. It was because you are bringing it to the fore. That's why. If I ask
Excuse
you
me,
now-
which ladies are the same thing?
No,
Same
it's
thing, Bible.
true. Like, if I ask you what you want for your birthday, for example.
Of course I know.
I know what I want.
Depends
as
on what
well.
you want to buy.
I'm not confused.
I'm not confused, but I'm not, again, I'm considerate. Right? So let's just leave it at
Well,
that.
the truth is, we still have about 13 days to figure this out, so it's okay.
They should carry
For
their
her
dry
to be-
flower and go.
Do you, Catherine, please? Alele,
market.
continue.
Carry your dry flowers.
Let's
and go.
continue.
Honestly.
Anyways, let me get started with the first story. So, yesterday, Thursday, we were joined by Timisan, Okome, and Kathleen Ndomo to look at the suggestion that polygamy be made compulsory across Africa. This suggestion came from a female Cameroonian, barrister Akwen Njue Tekouh, who has controversially advocated for compulsory polygamy in Cameroon, where it's already legal, claiming it will reduce infidelity, prostitution, and the hypocrisy of monogamous marriages. So the reactions have come in hot and fast. Let's see what you guys had to say before we talk.
So this one comes from Kathleen's mom, who was watching the show yesterday, and she says, a woman of today knows who she is, what she wants, and where she is going, unlike yesteryears, when you were handed to a man as payment for debts owed, to say the least. Today, the men beat their chest and talk of polygamy when they are not able to cope with one wife, then 2, 3, and nth wives. Legislating for polygamy is provisional certification of obituary for men. Kathleen and her mom are cute. And
Oh
Kathleen
my
replies,
God,
"You are
can I
so
meet her?"
well, dear mother.
She
Kathleen
is
and her
so
mom are absolutely cute.
You're so
But this is what she says. Then we have this one. The earlier we all accept the reality of this imposed Western practice, and I think he's talking about monogamy,
Yeah.
and look for ways to solve this particular social problem, the better for everyone. Meanwhile, let's continue to speak grammar inside cozy studios while baby mamas, unmarried, childless women increase.
So yeah, the solution
Now, let's take another reaction. Finally, this was from a WhatsApp somebody sent me. Finally, polygamy is expensive. Since it's fundamentally patriarchal, the man will bear a lot of the economic responsibility. Good luck doing that in African economies with runaway inflation, low incomes, and insecure job security. But he, that's referencing Timisa, explaining the mentality that means these issues keep coming up. I don't think you guys should beat him down for that. Also, this is predominantly a rural and economic phenomenon. As Africa gets richer and more urban, polygamy will fade away. We won't buck global trends. Also, polygamy is a terrible solution to infidelity. You can just as easily get bored with 4 people as you do with 1 person. Very well done. Very engaged discourse. Who else do we have?
Please, who's that person so well
I can't tell you people.
articulated?
Women would never get that logic, no matter how you explain it. A man is polygamous in nature, but modern day society is trying so hard to push the narrative of one man, one woman. This is the cause of the high rates of divorce in our society today. If women can only understand this fact, a man is moved by what he sees. A woman is moved by what she sees, but mostly by deeds, actions, and what she hears. That's why a man can cheat with no intent, but a woman cannot. A man sleeps with another woman without affection, but a woman cannot, I want to laugh, cannot sleep with another man without feeling for the man. Wow. I said, hold on. Do we have anything else? All right, she's actually replying. I said our comments are crazy right now. She's actually replying somebody in one of the comments, and she said, my dear, I read this takes and I just laugh. She's replying the guy who said women cannot sleep with men without having catchy feelings. It's very bold of them to assume women can't be with another man without feelings. Yet there are cases of women that had children for another man in their marriage and cases of women that cheat too on their husband. At the end of the day, it all boils down to moral decency and expectations. But what do I know? Who else do we have before we talk? I'm going to give my 2 cents. most Nigerian men are not polyamorous. It's their women that drives them into it. I think polygamous, but we'll get into that. Nigerian women are the least romantic women, and if you want to argue, I beg, make sure say you know waiting you they talk. What a great topic. Most men, irrespective of ethnicity, are innately polygamous. Most French men have mistresses, not to talk about Latin Americans. The difference is the law in the West, which discourages the act due to life-changing penalties of the cost of divorce. There are more, but we just selected these ones.
Wow.
I don't know, Catherine, you did like this.
Yes,
Ping, 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 when he said most French men have.
mistresses.
But what's the law in France? A child that is born out of wedlock has every right, when the father dies, to take an equal share of the inheritance.
Exactly.
Am I wrong?
I love
When
it.
people, yes, you are. When people are pushing for, polygamy like this, and you have to look at it. I like the comment that said polygamy has become expensive. It's okay. Like we discussed on this table, it's all right. Do you? The society is getting liberal by the day.
Yeah.
We're evolving. Sometimes we wake up, we don't even know what side of the divide we're in. Lolo said something one day. Listen, your perspective is based on where you parked your car. Which side of the street you parked your car. You can wake up and the motor no day again.
Yes.
So you now have to bend, you now have to adjust. So if we are looking at polygamy, there's some people that are diehards on the issue of polygamy. There are people who say men are polygamous by nature. But guess what? Women are
We're monogamous by
women,
nature.
women have the capacity.
Of
Guys,
course.
not all clear on our face. Women have the capacity to follow us, to be with a man without emotion.
For no reason. And I'm
no
so
reason.
tired
It's just
of
what it
people, everybody will come with the defense of, oh, I'm explaining science. And then you mansplain for the women,
It's like they're
saying,
telling
oh,
us.
women cannot. Who told
I'm telling you
Who
that
told
women
you?
cannot be with men
But the
without
thing
certain
about
level of
science is,
emotion.
if you look at the present time that we're in, are you not seeing new researches, new topics, new things being described, through all the things, myths that we lived with,
they won't see all
thrown
of that.
out of the window.
They are stuck with the ones
just
that
as Catherine
explain.
said, everybody do you. There are some conversations that they don't want to talk about. If we keep pushing this polygamy thing, then polyandry should be a discourse too, because it's the opposite of everything. So if women are pushing for equality, if men are pushing for polygamy, women can as well push for that too. And say, okay, if you say we don't have capacity to feel, not to feel for every man, why don't you test us? It's a scientific thing.
No, they can't
Put a test across a number of women, different ethnicity, tribe, culture, age, and see if we have capacity to take off 5 men.
If we have capacity, full stop.
Exactly.
See, let me say something on this. Yes, he was talking about science yesterday, and I brought up the argument of nature versus nurture. And I keep reminding people that the woman we see now as a woman who's only tied to one man and can only engage in sexual activity with somebody, it's only one person, is a result of socialization and acculturation. If you had been socializing men and acculturalizing men to be one man, one woman from the dawn of time, we would have one man, one woman. It wouldn't be an argument, but you didn't. And I think at the end of the day, something I was thinking about when we had this I think women's sexuality and women's desire scares a lot of people. Because when you look at it at the end of the day, let's be honest, in the beginning, polygamy was not... It wasn't for love. It was for economic. Polygamy was economic. It's an economic conversation.
Our fathers married our mothers, not because they loved them. Some of them were gifted to them. Some of them are payments for debt. They just hand women to you like chattel. And they just use it, okay, we're like slaves in a man's house, working in his farms, having children, so that you can have more workforce in your farms. So it's not a love thing. It's not like, oh,
or guaranteeing the continuation of a lineage.
I just saw this woman and I imprinted on her and I made her my wife because I love her so much. I saw this one and I imprinted on her and I love her so much. It had nothing totally to do with how they were feeling physically. Many of them could not even satisfy their wives.
Well, I know some people
but
say
they
that
didn't care.
They didn't care.
That's the other part of it. You don't care about women's satisfaction. So he'll be married to 4 women. As time and age happen, so you're seeing a situation where women have tamped down on their sexual desire because you're married to a man who either
cannot
rotates
fulfill
bedrooms
it.
or will decide when he wants to go.
When you say that...
It's okay. It's not okay.
It's not belly fool me.
You now say,
why?
You
What do
can't
you mean
even
by
say
that?
enough belleful you at that time.
I like what is, I don't know if we can get back the last slide on polygamy. It was very interesting to look at because as I was saying yesterday, it's done in different ways. So in terms of polygamy in different parts of the continent, it also means that in some situations, the previous wives, there we go. In Burkina Faso, spouses must agree that a marriage will be polygamous as its onset or outset for the husband to be allowed to take another wife. That means the first wife you're marrying, the time you're doing this, she must agree. In Djibouti, a judge records the existing wife's opinions on any new marriages and investigates the husband's socioeconomic situation before approving marriage contract for an additional wife.
You see, for me,
It's not about love.
Do you be okay? But there's some factors that coexist with that decision that you decided to take an extra wife, an extra wife, an extra wife. On the page, there have been conversations about, okay, there's some certain people like Mr. Ned Nwoko, who is married more than one wife, and people are saying that's because he has the economic power to look after them. But is that always enough?
Never. A lot of times when you look at, the public reality of a marriage is different from the internal reality of a marriage, good or bad. So it can actually be good outside, picture-wise, and it's good inside. And sometimes it's a flip of it. So we need to know that realities are science that they're talking about. Has anybody sat down to create new data? To know the new bionic women that they're having now.
They are too afraid to do that because
course.
they know. So
The outcome of it would throw
I want to
all they've ever known.
hear something different from this is how men are. Because if you put a statistic side by side, women are too. Whatever you say men are, sometimes women are more. And that's why you hear people say women cheat more, they only cheat better because they hide it better. Why would women cheat more if they don't have more sexual desires? I'm just tired of men saying, oh, women cannot do this, but men can.
Who said? It's because we're culturalized that way.
I asked him about if he, as he's monogamous, he's been married to one wife, they have kids. If you listen to Temisa, he's actually a very well-known radio commentator, you would know. But then also, he's okay with polygamy. But I asked, are you okay with polyandry? He says he had to think about it. And I think that's some of the things that you are okay with polygamy, but you have to think about polyandry. It takes a lot of men a lot of time to be able to think about the fact that I'm coming back to this. I think a lot of this is wrapped up in ancient understandings or ancient ideas around women's sexuality and desire. It takes a lot of men some time to come to the fact that maybe women are as sexual beings as they are.
Of course we are.
I'm not saying him, but I'm just saying something.
I'm just looking for a scientist that wake up and create new data. Many of them just think because we are culturalized this way, we're just continuing to be like this. The generation of women, not even their assertiveness now, and the fact that they've come to a knowing of themselves. Our mothers were afraid of their sexuality. Many of their sexuality was doused by their culture, by their religion. My mother would tell me something like, in their own time, a woman was not supposed to woo and her. You're just supposed to accept the thing quietly, and it's a clinical thing.
For me, I think
lay there, get your seed, have your baby, and for the next 3 years, you are not with a man, because once they confirm you're pregnant, till
many of them will not
you
touch you
win
again.
your child.
Now
No more jiggy
I know
for
we
you.
need to go on a break, but I know, we have evolved into where we are today. It's simple analysis and breakdown of mathematics so you can have your final answer. When you do your math workings, show your workings. And when you reach the end, okay, you have arrived. That answer will determine where you want to be regarding polygamy. A lot of men still find it difficult to accept the fact that if you put the question to a man and say, what would you do if you found out your wife was cheating? You find out your wife is dating somebody else other than you. What will your answer be?
You're always dying. Are we going on a break?
No, we have a breaking story coming in from somewhere in Lagos right now. And it's a very big one from here in Lagos. We're going to be going to News Central correspondent Bernard Akede, who is at the scene of what appears to have been a very tragic accident. So a suspected drunk driver rammed into a unit of some soldiers from Myong barracks in Lagos while they were observing a route march. Bernard, good morning to you. Tell us what's going on where you are right now.
Working on this road, that's because there is a barracks around here. It's called the Myong barracks. Coincidentally, this is the barracks where I was born in. But the story for today actually is, like you did say, a group of soldiers were observing their route march, and they do it every month. 15 kilometer march. They start by 5 a.m. in the morning and go around different areas. And while they were doing that this morning, Friday, a vehicle ran into this group of soldiers based on the information that we received. According to that, on social media, we're hearing that some soldiers were killed in that. We cannot confirm that. We were able to go in and we spoke to the CMD, Chief Medical Director of the military hospital there, who chose not to be mentioned, but he did confirm that that's exactly what happened. Contrary to some information making it around social media saying that some soldiers went to raid a place and they were attacked, that is incorrect, according to the medical director. He says, as I mentioned earlier, they were observing their monthly 15-kilometer route march, and then what they suspect to have been a drunk driver ran into this, group of soldiers, harming them. Right now, we cannot confirm if there were any fatalities. We don't exactly know the condition of the soldiers that were affected. And we don't know what has become of the driver and the vehicle from this morning's incident. I can confirm to you, though, that on getting into the premises and the hospital, I would say a group of persons seated in front of, I think, the emergency ward. I would want to believe to be relatives or family members of the affected soldiers. Large numbers larger than what you would expect. The CMD, Chief Medical Director, only said that the Army will put out a statement soon, and we're waiting to hear that. But again, to reiterate to answer your question, a group of soldiers observing 15-kilometer route march starting from 5 a.m. this morning, as they do every month, and then there was a car that ran into that group of soldiers, suspected to be a drunk driver.
Wow, that's so disheartening.
All right, so in terms of the area, we can see the road seems to be on a side street, not necessarily a major route. Have you been able to speak to any of the residents or anyone around who can also give you some context to this story, not just from us hearing from the Army?
Well, from what I was able to get, again, because this is close to the military barracks, you have very few people. As a matter of fact, nobody wants to speak on it. They're saying they leave it to the Army to speak. I don't think it happened around here. Like you said, this is a tight, closed road. But if I get the exact location where it happened, hopefully we'll be able to get people who can speak from that area. Here where we are, nobody's willing to speak. Again, of course, because this has ties with the military, and they're trying to be careful. But as the day goes on, we'll continue our investigation to show where exactly this happened and see if we can get reports of what exactly happened this morning. There's different narratives going around social media. But we're still keeping our fingers, our fingers and our eyes to the ground, our finger on the pulse to be sure what exactly the exact information is concerning this morning's incident.
All right, Bernard Akede, thank you so much. A lot of things that still need to be confirmed, so we'll leave the conversation at this for now. But as you said, we'll definitely have more later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so what we can confirm to you right now is that, again, we'll even have to say an alleged drunken driver reportedly rammed into a unit of soldiers from Young Barracks in Lagos, I think in the Yaba area, while they were observing their monthly route march. Now, it is still unclear as to whether there are any casualties, the number of casualties, or what has even become of the driver of the vehicle. This incident reportedly happened in the early hours of Friday and has caused as expected, some level of panic among family members of soldiers in the barracks, with many hoping to get some news. Ben spoke to the CMD of the hospital, who says he can't confirm anything as of yet, and the Army has said they will be making a statement in the due course of today. So it is a story that is developing here in Lagos, and we'll give you all the updates as they come in.
All right.
I think we should take a break.
We'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll get into our next story. Welcome back. You're still tuned to Jasiri on News Central TV. Yes, we've been discussing, if you did enjoy the polygamy discourse, then it shouldn't end there. If you have any issue that you think Jasiri should bring people from two sides of the divide to talk about, then you should share with us on social media so that we can see what we can do. And a lot of people enjoyed it, so why not? We could add it for you if you wanted. Our next story is related. This week, news of Tuface and Annie Idibia's separation has reignited conversations about fidelity and the African man's approach to relationships. Everyone, including us, had one thing or the other to say. While there has been a statement, all coming from Tuface, there hasn't been a statement from comment from Tuface and Annie since Tuface's video announcing their separation. It seems we are all set up, we have all set up ring lights, you know. Everybody is discussing it from their perspectives, but we're not focusing on that right now. Content creator and musician at I Am Nasboy made a post, and I want us to look at it. He said, and I quote, once celebrity divorce, then we begin to say this thing called marriage is not for me. But you forget your parents have been married for over 30-something years. Stop using celebrity marriages to define marriage. If you like, no marry. Now you sabi. End of quote.
So, you know, we've talked about this in a sly off-center way, but I think it's really a conversation we need to bring up. And one of the big things always is for me is I tend to hear people focus on the quantity of the marriage, the duration of the marriage versus the quality of the marriage. And we rarely know. And oftentimes when we have these conversations, I try to tell men, please, go and ask your mom. Like really sit down and say, Mom, no judgment, I won't interrupt. Really, really, really ask about the quality of that marriage that you're holding up the quantity of to say, oh, girls of nowadays, marriages of nowadays don't last. What was the quality of that marriage for her?
So I do appreciate him saying that because, again, do not let someone's experience determine your own actions or inactions, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, just like Tolu said, a lot of people do not realize that we're in a different era. Your mother, your father was not bold enough to leave that marriage. I'm not saying all marriages were bad, but I've heard cases of parents saying, in fact, a parent had once said, if I knew that divorce was an option, I would have left. And it's not like technically they didn't know, but the society would not allow it. They would criticize, ostracize, castigate, whatever the word is, for daring to you can't even dare to speak up, not to talk of leaving your marriages. Those days were the days when mother-in-laws would slap wives. Do you think people can take it now? In fact, do you think your parents would take it now in this generation? They wouldn't. So the generations differ. Things are different. Again, do not base your experience on other people's reality, but at the same time, know that the times have changed.
Honestly, if anybody, I don't even like it when people ask me about quality of marriage, because from my own experience, I think a lot of the married before this time, many of them were not perfect. Honestly, they were just one person taking it while the other heaps on the other. And I think that this generation that we're in, a lot of people have become more vocal. A lot of times, women have become more assertive. I think that's where the issue is. The emancipation of the minds of women, where women now are beginning to know that, aside being a wife, I can be more. I think it's the more that this generation embraced that is bringing all these issues. I remember in my own time, my mother hardly worked. She just did menial jobs, you know, little things. It wasn't like she was the one upkeeping the house. Unlike now, where equal parties upkeep the house equally. So that means a lot of things have fundamentally changed in the marriage. I'm wondering at the wisdom that Tolu used to say that thing, that the quality of marriage is what I've met. Very quality marriages. I have seen a couple of quality marriages. I think my other sister has one. She's just a unicorn. And I know it's not everybody's reality. But quality of marriage is so important. I know a couple that would wear ashwebi to church and they would beat themselves blue black after church. So when you see them, they keep up this public appearance like as if their lives would depend on it. But they were coming from, a culture where divorce was not an option. They hated each other, but they knew that they needed to stay together because of their children. So they kept each other in that marriage, in a very violent and toxic marriage, and broke their children while they stayed together. So there's so many sides to this thing. Many of them say, oh, my parents have been married for 45 years. 45 years of pain. I know someone who has been living with her husband for like 30-something years. If I am not, because I know this couple, if I'm not exaggerating, if they've had relations, I mean, husband and wife relations in that marriage in 35 years, I doubt if it will be up to 100 times. And the man will say something like, I don't like sex, I don't like you. Let's just stay together. I won't let you go either. So, and when you see them, they're absolutely corporate people, and they've been married for 35 years.
Wow.
So the quality of marriage is different from the outside, or this, oh, look at our parents' marriages.
Yeah.
You can't compare.
I think that's even outdated when you say look at your parents' marriages, because like Tolu said, like every of my ladies has said on this table, everyone would have compromised on some level. Now, is the quantity you compromised that determines now what you're left with as you grow older. Take a look at your friend, for example. I don't like sex, I don't like you, but I'm not letting you go.
So she can't find satisfaction.
No.
And if she cheats, it's an issue.
No.
So outside, she's celebrated as, you know, oh my God.
Understanding why.
Oh Lord.
Understanding why we've stayed together.
Tell us the secret.
Yeah, who's secret?
And she's wondering, and then she's crying deep within, and then she can't say anything,
Like
because everyone has held her on this pedestal. We
Yeah.
had Nancy on the show, and Nancy said, listen, I just put my story out there, and in as much as there were some people who were saying, oh, why would you share? This is so private, so personal. She said people tumbled into her DMs. And we're saying, my sister, me too, I'm going through all of this. So whether we like it or not, I think we should stop being pretentious and just, it boils down to choices. We're living in an era now where the dispensation gives you a chance to say no. And say, okay, I don't think Gen Z is Lolo, for example, will take what your friend has taken.
Nibo.
For 35 years. Gen Z will say, you let me go, you don't let me go, you tell me whether you're my
This lady I'm
ancestor or
talking
you're my...
about has been without intercourse for more than 20 years.
And imagine what that,
But you know that's grounds for divorce.
I know, but she's afraid.
Look at the
Women, that is, it still goes
the
down
mental
to that.
state of mind. Look at her mental state, for example. And then look at what she's encouraging. She's opening up the doors of her body to get us to contract, the ability and the susceptibility to contract these diseases stemming from that. People think that, oh, you're unhappy, just toughen up, it will be okay. It catches up to you.
Clinical depression.
And subconsciously, a lot of us still see divorce as the work of the devil. So we would rather, that would be like, in fact, not even the last resort. No, people would not want to. And a lot of times you're admiring some people, and in their mind, they're like, I wish I could tell them what I'm actually going through. I've heard people say, people that have been in marriages for over 2 decades say things like, if I come back in my next life, I don't want to marry. Why do you think your parents will, some parents will advise you, don't rush, or take it, they know what their eyes are seeing.
Let's take some reactions to this, to what Nas Boy said, and it's been quite an interesting sort of side conversation stemming from the Tuface and Annie conversation. At Ashbull Jana says, absolutely, people forget that celebrity marriages are not the blueprint for real life. Look at the strong, lasting, again, we're back to quality, quantity, lasting examples around you instead of chasing social media narratives. Marriage is what you make of it. What else do we have? Person wey no get her own sense. She no wish for her own parents' successful marriage, but now another person failed own she see. Very delusional person. Responding to someone, I'm very sure. Okay, someone says, what really pained me in this was that the narratives that all these people are peddling around that she stayed from the scratch, they don't believe that women can cause psychological drama to the man as well, or we men don't have blood in our veins. Any more?
What sustained marriages 30 years ago may not hold the same way today. Thank you. The dynamics, challenges, and expectations have changed, which could be why some might compare the realities of modern celebrity marriages to their own experiences. It's still closer.
So, yeah, I want to say, so 2 things on this. Because of everything that's happening with Donald Trump, a lot of people have been digging into like when women in the U.S. in particular started having emancipation, and a lot of it aligns with the civil rights movement. So as you were giving certain freedoms to Black people, it helped women in the U.S. also gain certain freedoms. It's in 1900s, I think even in the 1930s, if I'm not wrong, that American women started being able to have a bank account, own property, even be allowed to do certain jobs, be outside longer than certain holding their name. So when people talk about, oh, our mothers stayed, you need to talk about the social constraints that kept them in place. Where does a woman without a bank account go? Where does a woman with limited education go? Where does a woman who's unable to rent an apartment, where does she
So
go?
you can imagine all the dreams that she couldn't realize, and just that feeling of being stuck there.
Yes.
And making the best. There's a comment that I said, make of marriage what you will.
No, that's not what make of marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is what you make of it.
Marriage is what you make of it. There it is. Marriage is what you make of it.
Marriage is what you make of it. And I thought of it, I'm like, imagine our parents wanting, our mothers wanting to do so much more. But they couldn't.
How much education did they
You
have?
know, they were just gagged.
Not just
like,
education. You have a society that tells them that it's what your husband decides for you and the family.
They even tell them you can't come back home.
You subsume your dreams for his
Yes.
dreams. You need to support him to do his dreams. My parents have been married.
No, you know,
50
You know, your
something
Reverend Doctor is educated. Education too helps.
That's the thing. So my parents have been married 55-ish, 50-something years now. And you know, I keep telling you guys that as I go longer in marriage and as a mother, I'm giving my mother more grace.
Yes.
I'll tell you, when we were in the US and I was in high school, there was a point in time they weren't talking. And I told the two of them, go and get a divorce. Because I could not understand how you'd be married and you're going and like you're not talking. She wasn't happy that we're still in the US. He was still finishing his PhD. There was a lot of pressure. There was never any domestic violence, but I knew how unhappy my mother was. Wow. She had her own dreams, but she was a woman who grew up being told that her dreams were not as important as her husband's. And so that's why I say, as I go, as I'm older now, I've given my mother a lot more grace. Because I understand. They have I see the people who come to them who, I love my parents to death. At a point in time, I said, you people, you're not going to make it. And I want sanity. But they've made it. And that's also because the both of them we sat down, four girls, and said, you cannot continue like this. You people need to choose. Do you want to stay married or you're going your separate ways? And they made a choice to actively work on their marriage. But that's them. As she said, that's education. That's education. But there's a lot of, I keep saying this thing, there are young men in this today that want the privileges that their fathers and uncles enjoyed. But so many young girls have seen what their mothers, their sisters, and their aunties went through, and they don't want the same type of marriage.
Therefore, they disconnect.
Let's not lie and pretend that we still don't have that societal
constraint.
The only thing that is saving women, or let me not say the only, the most thing saving women now is their decision not to marry or not to marry yet. Because they know that when they get into that marriage, most times what you discuss is not what you find, because you now see mother-in-laws, father-in-laws breathing down your neck. If you didn't want to be submissive, why did you marry? So a lot of them are like, I'm not going to go into this.
Good careers.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
jobs.
It still happens, and there's still men who, like Tolu said, who still have that expectation. I saw it too. I'm never going to forget that tweet. I'm tired of cooking and washing my own clothes. I need to marry. That was what he said.
You should get a maid.
That's how they think.
Tell him, why are you getting a maid when you could get a wife?
Oh, it was a joke.
Understand?
No,
it has to be. You will hear friends telling you things like, get married so that your wife can help you sort your life. How about my own life? I have a life to sort.
But
that is why I keep hating this thing where people say.
But let me tell you, the data shows you that married men live longer. The quality of their life,
because you have come to serve them.
Quality of life changes and improves.
And I hate this thing that people say marriage makes you two broken people come together.
Why are you broken?
Why are you broken?
Why should I be?
I keep telling people that if a broken person comes into a marriage and merges another broken person, you are two broken pieces.
Yeah, not one.
But if a wholesome person comes and marries a wholesome, I've been listening to a lot of Pastor Ibuku Awoshika, and she says something, and I look at her because I know she's been married for a long time, and she's a successful career woman. But I keep saying that you can't eat your cake and have it. You can't have a woman slaving in the kitchen all day, cooking food from the scratch every day, and she can still take the boardroom. Why would she have time to go and buy a wedu in the market and plucking it in our office?
So the thing is, people don't understand that. Look, I've been in relationships where, I mean, before I go into the relationship, I'll tell myself, like, I'm not cooking for no man, I'm not doing, but because of how loved and pampered I am, I will enter the kitchen. So submission is a result of it's supposed, well, because of the society, you think that it is your responsibility as a woman. But I believe that it is an offshoot of something. The way you are loved at home, you want to care for your man.
Because we don't focus on the entire Bible verse. The Bible says that women should submit to their husbands. And it says, husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. That he gave down his
life for them.
How many men have laid down their life for us? I'm looking at it that even now, I think we've even discussed it on this table, that we are in trouble because Gen Zs are not having it the way we had it, the way Our parents had it. Gen Zs
They are
charting
caught in
their
a
own
different
course.
cloth.
Yeah. And they will not, and they are not having the patience that it takes to, like, listen, it's not working. Okay, why don't we just go
When my daughter laughs at me, I just find it I'm so happy. She says something like, Mommy, you're so obsessed with love. I love it for you.
You like it, I love it.
But she said like, Mommy, but I have other things I want to do with my life.
Wow.
Yes.
I'll be like, make I chop up. Honestly. But you know, even whether we like it or not, even women in this generation, my generation, we're still struggling. Sometimes you want to be that emancipated woman, and at the same time, you know there's a shackle on my feet. The shackle is there, that the culture, the religion is still holding you. The expectation is still low-key affecting you. Do you know how I look at women these days and I see how assertive, how she's living on her own?
On her own terms.
In my own time, I had never, and I will say boldly, I had never physically seen a woman living on her own in my time. I know I hear of it, but I have never met like an individual that I would say this is a woman.
Because the societal structure then was that
It was
living on your own, you wanted to be.
You want to be a prostitute.
But even to now,
And you wanted to be a free
we
woman.
have
like
young
a
girls
free
in
woman.
our office whose families tell them they can't stay alone. Yes. So you're still having the social constraints.
Even landlords.
That nobody.
Even landlords are refusing to give you
And I think
accommodation.
there's one other thing we need to also look at is in terms of the examples. So celebrities, by virtue of their platform, we will dissect their lives. We'll pick and choose the parts of their lives that we think we want to emulate. This is yet, unfortunately, another example that the God went in online in-laws. It's not everything that glitters that is gold.
Of course.
And sometimes some things that glitter are good. I think we need to see examples of good marriages. People need to be intentional about platforming that. I'm weary of saying people in good marriages should speak, because sometimes it feels like it's when you start speaking that something comes happening. But we just need to be able to balance the narrative. There are good marriages, and I think people should also be honest about what it takes to be in a good marriage, to be a good partner, to receive and to give in a marriage.
To be honest, I feel like it's even a balance. Like this generation, the generation before us, there's some of the conventional things that personally I still believe in, right? I can be very eclectic when it comes to my thought pattern. So I believe that I would rather marry right than marry long, but I also believe that I would not do the chasing. You will suffer. You not suffer, but you have to do the work.
I know.
To get me. You have to sweat. Do you understand? To get me. I'm not meeting you in the middle. When we're married, we'll do that, but I'm not meeting you. You have to get me, because that's how it is. That's what I believe. So I have that conventional thought, but I also believe that you take the men are plenty. Do you get? You would have to marry right than marry long. Again, it's not about.
And another thing, when they say that when you say that, they say you want to eat your cake and have it. They'll say you're an independent woman in this generation, and you still want that 100% chasing. The men of these days that are caught in a different cloth that I don't know much about, they will say, okay, let's meet each other halfway. You chase me as much as I chase you, because both of us are prices.
No, but there are some also who will chase you down. They will chase you, they will tunnel vision you. You are the project, and they will chase you because
what is it that people are attracted to shiny objects? It was Trevor Noah that said that a lot of men are attracted to women who fly. Because what? They want to cage you.
Do you understand?
So if you, I understand what
No, because I had this conversation with someone last Friday. The person was, I don't even know how this conversation came up, but was saying things like, don't you think a woman should lower her standard, and this, and like, my problem with men is, they will not go for the women that are willing to be submissive. They will go for the ones that know what they're doing with their lives, and then when they finally get them, they'll not be like, no, you have to be submissive. No, you don't you go for the one that is already made for you.
No. That's why they say opposites attract.
This kind
of give celebrity marriages some grace. Guys, give celebrities some grace.
Not easy to live in your front.
The pressure is pressuring. It's everywhere, different, left, right, and center. I know that sometimes celebrities bring it upon themselves by what the post and
on social
we need
media.
more positive. We need more positive. I don't know.
But you know, even people don't believe it.
Yes, even
so your post
people just assume that because your marriage, they think marriage that is good is devoid of challenges.
No.
It's how you work. A marriage that knows how to handle their challenges that I consider wholesome.
Yeah.
I want a marriage who they be faced with infidelity. How did they handle it?
Yeah.
I want to see a marriage where they both lost interest in each other. How did they find their spot? Because people just think it's a straight line, they're working. Every day they're kissing and roses. You're
not always going to like the person you're married to.
True, of course.
Sometimes
you don't like your boyfriend either.
At some point, the person's flaws, weaknesses, that's all you see.
In some situations, you'll not be thinking you're the one who's perfect.
Yes.
Until you get outside perspective and they're like,
Tell me, please, there's a challenge I like our creativity to do with you.
No.
Have you ever seen this? I saw it on social media. You put a scarf for your hair like Virgin Mary. They say, here goes my saint wife who doesn't do anything wrong. I love my saintly wife who is perfect in all ways.
You won't be able to finish the sentence.
I saw the challenge.
I had a conversation with some friends recently, and somebody backed me up that sometimes, oh God, this is expo, but it happens. We've been married almost going on 12 years now, or 13 years. Yeah. And we have our ups and downs. We have the time when neither one of us can stand each other. I'm serious. We won't say anything but good morning, how you doing? If something needs, coordinate needs something. And then 3 days later, it's do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? And we're back. And that's the ebb and the flow. But something that also happens is, I don't know if it happens for all married people, but somebody backed me up, so I know it's not just me. You might go for 3 weeks and everything is so rosy. Yeah. And you're just like, something is wrong. A week or two. Yeah, you guys have a useless argument. And you're like, why are we fighting?
I knew it. I said this. That 3 weeks.
When you're feeling too happy. I think it's a psychological thing. Yeah. And it's a wrong mentality. It's like the devil takes your mind like, sometimes I'll tell myself, am I not too happy? Something bad.
See, this marriage is not easy. It's not easy, but it's fun.
Okay, after you've had that thought, then when something bad starts happening, you say, thank God at least.
And then you now have to work back to the good. You know, we have like 3 other stories, but we can't take it. What's the time? We can't.
We can't. We can't take it.
I was looking at maybe Blessings to take us on a break.
Which break?
We're wrapping up.
I know. Which break? And the other 2 stories that we can take this Monday.
There'll probably be updates. There's a lot of it. As Kat said, we need to give celebrities grace. We need to realize that their lives are playing out in front of us. Yeah. We all don't have our lives playing out in front of the world. And so we feel convenient and comfortable to say all manner of things online. My word for this year, maybe for January, empathy. Grace and empathy.
Anyway, we've gotten our cue to go, ladies. So it's time for us to get out of here. I had so much fun this week, and we had such great conversations on the table as well. Thank you so much to our viewers. We love you so much. You are the reason why we do what we do. Thank you. To the whole crew who makes this happen, trust me, it takes a village to even look like this every morning, for graciously, and I thank the ladies, for graciously basking in my awesomeness, because I bring it week after week. Let's do this again together, so you can enjoy my glow yet again.
Kumbaya!
Even though Catherine is wearing yellow.
What is moving?